The city of Mississauga has gone from being a horizontal city to a vertical city. A lot of office buildings used to be in Mississauga, and now we start to see a lot of condominiums coming up as well, and that's changing the skyline of Mississauga. A population of 500,000 has gone to 720,000 people. That's what requires a lot more condominiums to come up here to balance the supply and demand. Today, we are going to a launch of M3 condominiums. 81-story tower that's going to change the complete skyline of Mississauga. Along with that, we also get a chance to meet the mayor of Mississauga, the architect for M3 condominiums, and also the developers that are working on this project. Let's have a chat.
Wasn't too long ago, we all came together and gathered to announce the first groundbreaking of the M-City Towers, and here we are. Here we are. How exciting is this? You know, every morning when I'm on my way to City Hall, I drive by this corner of Burnham Thorpe and Confederation, and I'm always impressed by the progress that is being made. And today is yet another milestone as we shape our growing city's thriving downtown core. As today, we are officially going to unveil M3, the third M-City Tower. And now I've had the privilege of getting a sneak peek, and I know you are going to be absolutely delighted when you see it. So Mississauga is really undergoing transformational changes, and we're working to build a more complete city, a livable, walkable city, a well-planned city, a city with a vibrant downtown core. And once complete, the M-City will define our western edge of the downtown, and it will perfectly complement the Absolute Towers to the east. I used to like to talk about the Fred Astaire and the Ginger Rogers. I think that's a great analogy to make. But M-City represents a $1.5 billion investment right here in the heart of our downtown core, and will provide housing for over 10,000 people once complete. And as Mississauga continues to urbanize, to embrace density and intensification, of course, where it makes sense, we need to shift our focus on building up instead of building out. And that's precisely what we are doing. Over the next 5 to 10 years, we will see 25 new towers being built in the downtown core, 8 of which are part of the M-City development. So developments like M-City will help put us on the international map and create spaces that will make our downtown Mississauga, a destination. And quite frankly, I think it will change the landscape of the GTA, much the way that the Marilyn Monroe Tower, if you will, changed the GTA landscape. We used to see just the CN Tower, and then you saw it juxtaposed with the Maryland Towers, and now I predict that will change again. Perhaps the CN Tower will be bookended by the Absolute and the M-City Towers going forward as a piece of our design internationally. So Mississauga today is a city of almost 800,000 people and 90,000 businesses, 73 Fortune 500 companies. We are the third largest city in Ontario, Toronto, Ottawa, Mississauga, the 6th largest in Canada, and we continue to grow. And we continue to grow, but grow responsibly. Mm-hmm. In fact, we have a plan and a vision for our entire city. We're trying to make a complete city, a place where people can live, invest, open their businesses, get a great education, have a downtown that is the downtown destination, a place to go, right. A more livable, walkable city than we had. And yes, we have towers coming, 25 in the downtown alone, but this is responsible growth. We're putting density and intensification where it's warranted, but we're preserving the communities.
Right.
the Port Credits and the Clarksons, the Streetsvilles, the Arundel, the Malton, the Arundel Village, all the little villages, Cooksville, we're preserving, but we're putting in intensification along transit hubs,
Right.
along major corridors like the here Ontario where the LRT will run, and into the downtown. So we do have a plan for responsible growth.
Right, and since you mentioned LRT, that's underway and it's on the
Correct.
go.
We will be breaking ground with the LRT in the springtime. And when you look at the waterfront as well, we have beautiful new developments from
Right.
reclaimed land that we're revitalizing, this land that used to be former brownfield. One was the power plant on the other side, the west side, was an oil refinery. And those will be mixed use communities, places where people can live and work and recreate, that will have a variety of shapes and designs in the architecture as well. There will be some density, but there will be mid-rise and low-rise as well, townhomes, stacked townhomes. But there will be very few single-family homes built in Mississauga any longer. We don't have the greenfield, and
Right.
we have growth targets that are imposed upon us by the province for density.
And also along with the condominiums, if I'm not wrong, there's also retail space coming up, office towers
Absolutely.
coming up as well.
It's all mixed use, so it's building a complete community so people can live here, they can work here, they can have recreation here,
Right.
and walk around the downtown as well. Livable, walkable city.
So it's a great supply and demand balance.
Absolutely.
Thank you very much for having
Thank you,
us here
Fred.
today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Nice to see you.
Gentlemen, thank you for having us here today. It's a real pleasure to meet you guys. Mark, I'll start with you. For Urban Capital, you guys have developed quite a few projects in the past. A developer that does not need an introduction. If I could recall myself, I've worked on quite a few projects, Tableau Condominiums, River City, Nicholas, Boutique, all of those projects. I personally worked myself and they've done very well and they came out great. So now you guys are launching M3 condominiums with a great success of M1 and M2. For M3, what is the vision? And in all the projects that we worked on, one thing was common is the architect. They're very unique looking in their own ways. And that's what we've seen for M1 and M2 as well. Tell us a little bit more about M3 and the vision and architect that you guys have.
Fair enough. I won't steal Mansoor's thunder. He is the architect, so
Right,
I'll let
right.
him tell you a bit more. But we do, as you rightly pointed out, we do approach this business from a design-forward point of view. We're very conscious of making sure our buildings are going to be beautiful architectural statements in their own right. And I think every project we've done is. There's not one project I'm not proud of that we've done. I'm very proud of what we're doing here with M-City. I think this is going to be one of the best things we've ever done.
Right.
M1 and M2 are amazing buildings. They bookend what happened with the Absolute Towers, the Maryland at the other end of downtown.
Right.
Now we're going to see even taller versions coming up on this end of downtown. As I think Bonnie Crombie likes to point out, it's
Right.
Fred Astaire versus Ginger Rogers. But,
Exactly,
exactly. So when we went about figuring out where we would go next, we had a challenge in front of us because M1 and M2 were spectacular. And they had unbelievable acclaim and huge market response. And so we said, well, how are we going to top that? So we went about trying to find the best architect and best architecture we could to do the next phase. So we went through another design competition with 5 of the top firms in Canada, and we ended up with IBR, Mansoor and his firm, with a design which we think stands up incredibly well to what we've done with them in 1 and 2. This is going to be the centerpiece of the M-City community, the tallest building in the community at 81 stories. And I think this building is also a very design-forward building that complements what we're doing with M1 and M2 very well.
Right.
And Mansoor can speak more about his influence and his thought process of how he came up with the design.
Right. So before I get to Mansoor, let me talk to John here. John, Rogers Development and Rogers Company itself, pretty much when we talk about technology, Rogers taking over technology all over Canada. You guys really stand out. What's the plan for Rogers? Now they're getting into develop business as well. Are you guys planning to take over all of Canada with every business out there?
No,
What's the vision? What's the plan?
Well, this is an asset that's distinct from the public company assets that are owned by the family as well. So this is a legacy piece of land which Ted bought many years ago, over 50 years ago, as part of a larger land assembly of over 30 hectares in Mississauga, most of which was sold off. He kept this little jewel in downtown Mississauga because it was very special to him. Originally it had his transmission towers on it for CHFY.
Right.
And when they moved to the CN Tower, the land sat vacant for a number of years. But he always had in his mind something special for this project. At one time, he thought of maybe doing an office campus here for his public company.
Right.
But they decided that the best use of the land was for residential uses. As far as the technology is concerned, with a name like Rogers behind
Right.
a project like this, you can expect that it's going to be technology forward. So we're building into all of our plans the idea that these buildings need to serve in the future. So they will contain the latest technology that's available when they're built, but also the ability to upgrade on that technology as time passes.
So I'm sure that was a challenge from an architect point of view. Not only that you have an undertaking of 81-story tower, which is probably, I think, 5th or 6th tower, tallest tower in Canada when it comes to condominiums. But what kind of challenges you faced, number one? And number two, what kind of urban designing and planning that ran through in this project?
Well, really, I looked at a lot of this more as opportunity than challenge. M1 and M2 set the tone for the quality of architectural excellence that Rogers and Urban Capital were aspiring to for this site. And obviously, we had to respond accordingly. The site within the master plan occupies a very prominent location. One could very easily say that this is the centerpiece of this development. It sits between Burnhamthorpe and a planned 2-acre park that Rogers has donated to the city of Mississauga, a public park. And so you've got this podium with residential units that will overlook the park. At grade, you have wonderful 2-story high townhouse units with private patios overlooking the park.
Right.
And then as you get to the east end, you wrap around with cafe uses that will open up onto a linear park on the east side of the development.
Right.
And then you go further north and you come to the corner of Burnhamthorpe, and that's where we've got this spectacular 2-story lobby that announces the project at sort of the entrance to M-City from the east there, and will really contribute to the animation of the public realm on Burnhamthorpe 24/7.
Right.
And then the rest of the Burnhamthorpe frontage is completed with more retail presence. So a very, very animated public realm that responds to the urban condition around the site. And then perched at the top of the podium, we have this beautiful amenity pavilion that will overlook the park with gym and an indoor pool and some wonderful amenities that will flow seamlessly into an outdoor amenity deck, which will become the gathering space for the M3 community.
Amazing. You got me so excited about this project. I want to buy it myself here right now.
Go for it.
Gentlemen, thank you for having us here today. Before I end this, from each one of you, what is your favorite feature about the building for M3 condominiums? And if you were to buy, why would you buy in the condominium? Let's start with the architect.
Well, for me, it's not a single feature. I think it's the ensemble. It's the entire architectural composition of the development. I think it's a very exciting, a very dynamic piece of architecture. I would want to be here just out of the pride of association, out of the centrality of its location, the access to incredible amenities, the park, and everything else that Mississauga City Centre has to offer in
Right.
terms of transit and access and the civic amenities, all of which are a stone's throw from here.
Perfect, perfect. What do you think, Mark? Why would you buy if you were to buy here?
First of all, is the height.
Right.
It's very exciting. When I look at a building this height, I think this is spectacular. Its location, right in the heart of Mississauga, it is truly a centralized location, and will just get better over time as the LRT is completed and other developments occur in the area, and all the retail space that's going to be part of this community gets developed and matures. There'll be places to go eat and to shop. It's going to be spectacular, and if you come in now, you're getting in on the ground floor of a master plan community And you can't help but make money over time in
Exactly.
a project like this.
Yeah, definitely. We definitely see appreciation coming up in the future for this neighborhood, and not just that, all of Mississauga in general. What about you, John?
I'd probably move for the same reasons as articulated by Mark, but I'd add, in addition, I think the architecture here is absolutely stunning. It's a jewel in the heart of the city of Mississauga.
It really stands out. Thank you very much for having us here today.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.